G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, back at it again with another episode of r/relationship advice. Now if you love today's content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and tell me what you think of all these stories. And what advice would you give? Posted by user ThrowRA Toddler Dog. Titled, My 28 female dog growled at my niece, 3 female, after she spent an entire evening harassing him. Now my brother, 31 male, wants me to put the dog down. Hi everyone. I have fostered a multitude of dogs in my life and dealt with a lot of behavioral problems. Dog aggression, cat aggression, food aggression, separation anxiety, super high prey drives. I've seen it all. And I've certainly encountered my fair share of dogs who clearly weren't safe around small children. So I feel extremely confident in saying my current 5-year-old lab mix is safe for kids. He is basically a gigantic teddy bear and loves everyone. However, it's always been my personal philosophy that dogs, and any other animal really, should never be left alone with young kids, even if it's the sweetest, most mild-mannered dog in the world. The kids don't understand when they're pushing the dog past its limits, and the dog cannot reasonably be expected to put up with being harassed long after it's signaled that it would like to be left alone. My niece has never been good with my dog. She pulls his tail, climbs on him, lays on him, hits him, pulls his ears, gets in his face and yells at him, and never gives him a second to himself unless she's forced to. He's basically a saint with her, but every dog has its limits. I try to stay on top of this behavior as much as I can, forcing her to leave him alone when it starts to seem like too much, and locking him away in a bedroom if she won't. My brother and sister-in-law, 30 female, really just don't get it though. I've tried to talk to them about this behavior a bunch of times, and they know it's wrong, but they think it's wrong in the same way that her refusing to share or not picking up her toys is wrong. They don't understand that it's dangerous, and that if she was left alone long enough, my dog might lose it and attack her. This has been going on for over a year. I've tried to have this conversation with my brother over and over, but he always acts like I'm criticizing his parenting, which is not the case. I don't think my niece is especially bratty or out of control for a kid that age. It's just that this behavior is dangerous to both her and my dog, and it needs constant intervention. The same way that a small kid playing with a stove isn't especially bratty, it's just especially dangerous, and needs to be curbed ASAP. I even tried having a dog trainer friend explain this to him, and he still didn't get it. I've tried to come up with excuses for why we can never meet at my house for our family hangouts, but I couldn't think of one the other day, and my brother and niece came over. I was cooking dinner and not paying enough attention to make sure my dog was okay, which was absolutely my fault, and I accepted responsibility. I asked my brother a few times to keep her away from my dog, but he kept saying that she was fine. I did move my niece away from him a few times, but I wasn't vigilant enough, and my dog ended up getting to the end of his rope and growling at my niece. I immediately grabbed my dog and brought him into my bedroom. I did not punish him at all. Frankly, I'm glad that he signaled loud and clear that he was uncomfortable. I would never want to discourage him from doing that, because then next time, he'd skip the growling and go straight to attacking. I came out of the room, ready to talk to my brother about how this is what I've been talking about. But he was furious, yelled that my dog is a menace who should be put down, and left. I completely understood his reaction. That is his daughter, and he was afraid for her, and nothing else mattered to him. But he hasn't calmed down at all since this happened, and won't talk to me except to say my dog needs to be put down, and he won't be speaking to me until it's done. He's also tried to involve our parents, who said they will absolutely not be getting involved. They know my niece's behavior with my dog has been a problem in the past. I've not heard from my sister-in-law at all, which makes me think she might agree with me. Knowing her personality type, I don't really think she'd sit out a fight like this if she thought my dog was dangerous. The way I see it, this is solely my fault and my brother's fault. I shouldn't have allowed my niece to harass my dog. I knew what could happen, and I was more concerned about how upset my brother got when I tried to bring it up than I was about my niece's safety. I should have just said my niece wasn't allowed around my dog until she got a bit older and dealt with whatever fallout there was within my family. Similarly, my brother should have kept a better eye on his kid and not been so defensive when I tried to explain the problem. My dog, on the other hand, put up with being harassed for over a year, and when he was finally pushed to his limits, signaled very loud and harmlessly that he needed to be removed from the situation. He is not dangerous, and I will not put him down. My brother is now saying that the entire family has sided with a dog over his child, which is not the case. It is just that there are lots of other solutions to this problem. I am perfectly happy to crate my dog when they come over, or leave him in another room, or just never have them over again and hang out somewhere else. There is no reason for my niece to ever see my dog again, and I'd be happy to talk over a solution with him. It's just that he won't talk to me at all, and I don't know what to do. Should I give him more time to cool off? Should I go over to his house and try to talk? I don't want to ruin this relationship. We are very close, but I'm just not putting my dog down over this. Radiant University says, your brother is being an ass, and I'm sorry, I'd let him pout it out. You going to him to talk it over is only going to give him what he wants, which is attention. It's not his daughter's fault or the dog's fault, it's his and his wife's fault for not teaching their daughter how to play with your dog and when to leave your dog alone. If they want to be this ridiculous and ruin your relationship with them over it, that's on them. Agreed. If this is OP's brother's idea of parenting, then this isn't going to be the last situation where the niece is responsible for a bad occurrence, but of course it's never her fault, she's a little angel. Shake my head. I see a lot of parent-teacher conferences in that little girl's future. I am shocked. Pulling ears and hitting the dog, and your brother does nothing and wants you to put down the dog? Is he completely mental, or just the same age as his daughter? No, really. He's being childish. Let him cool off. His behavior suggests he has mediocre parenting skills, and he is aware of that, but not able to admit it. That may be an overinterpretation. I would let him cool off, but also probably give him a bit of his own medicine. Just inform him very calmly, don't be mean, that until he improves his supervisory skills and learns how to teach his daughter to be kind to animals, she is not allowed anywhere near the dog. He has to demonstrate that he is able to do it, and maybe if she annoys someone else's dog, he'll learn. Don't even discuss putting it down. That's totally unreasonable and a really cruel and stupid way of repairing his hurt ego. Stand up for your dog. He did nothing wrong. He's a living being, not a children's toy. Honestly, after all that behavior, I'm shocked OP didn't just put his foot down and say no, your child cannot be around my dog while you're enabling this behavior. Egg Jacket says, people don't want to come out and say it, but your brother is a crappy dad. Your stove analysis is spot on. When you see your kid doing something dangerous, you stop them immediately. This isn't a parenting decision that we can agree to disagree on, like breastfeeding past a certain age or kissing your kid on the mouth. He's allowing his kid to harass an animal after being told multiple times how dangerous it is. You even got a dog trainer to try to explain it to him, and he still blew it off? What the hell is wrong with him? And now that he's being given the most gentle wake-up call in the world, he's lucky his daughter didn't get bit. He wants the dog put down. Your niece is going to get attacked by a different dog. In fact, if you put this dog down and got a different one, it would just attack her instead. Because your dog acted completely rationally, and the next dog will do it too. OP said that the brother acts like OP is criticizing his parenting, and OP doesn't want to seem that way, but like, so what? I'm a teacher, and parents are always on about, are you criticizing my parenting? Like, yes, your kid is a menace, and you should do something about it. Your ego isn't worth more than the damage this behavior does, and getting butthurt at getting called out for the effects of your crappy parenting does nothing. Grow up and move forward. OP's brother is a crappy dad doing his child a disservice by not teaching her how to deal with animals. Maybe one day some animals might not be so nice. They aren't stuffed animals. OP replies, He says I'm not in a position to criticize his parenting because I don't have kids of my own. Like, yeah, maybe not, but I have dogs and he doesn't, so I feel like I should get some kind of credit here? Bullcrap reply, your brother's, not yours. I don't need to be a pilot to know someone screwed up when I see a plane hit a tree. This is a good response. I'm stealing this for when we inevitably have another argument about this and he says I can't judge his parenting. Update. My dog growled at my niece after she spent an entire evening harassing him. Now my brother wants me to put down the dog. Hey everyone. Thank you so much for the advice on my previous post. It blew up while I was asleep and I couldn't respond to everyone's comments, but I did really appreciate all the people who took the time to give me advice on how to handle my brother. This update is kind of a mixed bag. So my family has been having dinner together one night a week since the pandemic started, usually at my parents' house. This week, I thought my brother and his family would sit it out, and it would be just me and my parents, but my sister-in-law showed up without my brother or niece. She said she absolutely did not want to discuss what happened, so we didn't. But I can't imagine how ticked she must be at my brother to openly go against him so she could attend a dinner with her in-laws. So that's good. Since dinner went well and we all had a good time, I decided to send my brother a text this morning to try to make amends. The text I sent says, "Hey bud, we missed you and niece at dinner last night. I was hoping you'd come by so we could talk about what happened with niece and dog. I understand why you're upset, and I'm really sorry that niece was scared. You know how much I love niece, and I'd never want anything bad to happen to her. I absolutely won't put dog down though. He's not dangerous. It's just that he can't talk, so he growled to communicate that he wanted niece to leave him alone. He is a family member to me. I can't put him down, especially when he didn't do anything wrong. But there's lots of other solutions we can work out to keep niece safe. I'm totally fine if no one in your family ever wants to see dog again. Or if you want, we can talk with dog trainer friend to try to figure something out that keeps everyone safe. You know, I think you're a great dad and doing an awesome job with niece, but I really think she would benefit from understanding how to treat animals. The next dog she meets might not be as relaxed as mine, and she could really get hurt. We can work on reaching her together. Do you want to meet for dinner next week? I can come to you and we can get takeout from restaurants. I miss you." The text I got back says, "Once again, you and everyone else choose a dog over my human child. It doesn't matter what niece did. She is a human and deserves to be safe. You're really saying, well, she started it, about your dog almost attacking my child? You can't keep a dog that would attack a kid for being a kid. And I can't believe you're talking about the next time niece meets a dog. What about the next time your dog meets a kid? The next parent won't be so understanding, OP. They'll call animal control and demand he be put down on the spot. No, we can't meet for dinner like nothing happened." And my response, "Sorry you feel that way. Please let me know when you're ready to talk about it. I'll be here." I know a lot of you think my brother is a dick, and just hearing about this one incident, I would too. But I really think every single one of us would come off as a dick if someone wrote a Reddit post asking for advice about the biggest a-hole thing we've ever done. Everyone has their good and bad qualities. Everyone is sometimes a chore to be around, and I love my brother. I don't want to fight with him, and I'm disappointed he is determined to drag this out. I know a lot of you wanted me to just ignore him until he stopped acting like a jerk, or just cut him out altogether. But that's just not realistic for me and our relationship, and it's not something that I want. I do think my sister-in-law is eventually just going to make him talk to me, so hopefully this won't drag on for too much longer. But I'm just really sad about the whole thing. I've done all I can do though. My sister-in-law and I have plans to go hiking this weekend. Went back and read the original post. It sounds like you're being very logical about the situation and aware of where you could have done better. So good on you for understanding animals are animals and needed to be treated as such. Your brother, on the other hand, seems to think animals can somehow rationalize their thoughts and actions before doing them. He is treating your dog like a higher thinking animal, which he is not. and he is using emotions versus logic during this. Personally, I'd let him pout about it for a bit and work with your sister-in-law on a plan to get him to stop being pouty and understand his daughter needs to learn how to behave around animals. What is she going to do if she's ever around a horse for the first time? They can literally kill you with one kick. It's about respecting the animal and listening/watching for cues that they aren't happy. When my cats exhibit signs they are being ticked at what I'm doing, I stop. They probably couldn't hurt me too bad, but again, it's respect. That's what your niece needs to learn, to have respect for animals and the way they communicate. Why the TF are you still having get-togethers during the pandemic? This comment is kind of self-righteous. I'm not out partying, I'm having an occasional dinner with 5 family members. A gathering so small that the CDC never even disallowed it. You guys aren't ever seeing your family or friends? You've just been sitting in your house for 4 months? I live alone, so if I didn't occasionally make concessions to go see family or go to the park with a friend, I'd have basically been in solitary confinement for 4 months. Yes, people have been sitting in their houses for 4 months, because that is the responsible thing to do. Well, I do what the CDC says, and 6 people having dinner together was never disallowed. That dog has every right to let the kid know he's not enjoying being harassed. Shame on your brother for not teaching her to leave the dog alone, and for trying to blame everything on the dog. Even the nicest dogs have a breaking point. If I were you, I wouldn't let your brother or niece around your dog anymore if you want your dog to stay alive. Posted by user ThrowRA11123. Titled, My fiancé, 26 female, and I, 27 male, decided to break up, but she couldn't move out due to the lockdown. After about 4 months isolating with her, I've realized I don't want to break up anymore. I'm not from the US, and I'm also not a native English speaker, so I apologize in advance if there would be confusing sentences in this post. My fiancé and I have been dating since college, and as soon as we graduated, I proposed to her. However, we decided to get married only once we're both financially stable and okay with our jobs. 2 years down the road, we've also been living together for that long, we now meet those requirements. However, our love for each other disappeared, or at least the spark we used to have. We became very busy, her with her graduate education plus job, and me with my work. I admit I've been spending way too much time in the office, and once I get home, I use my free time to get ahead with deadlines and stuff. She's also constantly stressed as she's juggling her education and her teaching job. We never had time for each other anymore, but we were still busy enough to even notice that. Then March came. She approached me with this subject, and we had a long talk. It was an emotional one. We've known each other for so long after all, and we're reaching our end after so many years. She was already in the process of booking flights to stay with her parents for a while when the lockdown was announced. She decided to not go home anymore in fear of possibly carrying the virus and infecting her family. I agreed with that decision, and since then we've been isolating together. We're both working from home now, and she also finished her studies in April. Because of that, we've been having a lot of free time. At first, it felt a bit awkward. I didn't even know how to talk to her anymore. I got used to short and empty small talk with her, but she's always known how to get me out of my shell, so it didn't take too long before we were having full conversations once again. I just found out that she has a newfound love for playing Sims 4. She showed me the family she was playing with currently, and I noticed that it was herself and me, plus a dog and a cat whose names were our birth months, lol. She had been so shy initially, but she doesn't know that I was also feeling flustered then. I think that this is the start of me questioning our decision to break up. After that, it was the small things. I also caught her up on how my life has been, like my shitty supervisor, how I haven't been taking care of my health lately, etc. And since then, she started pushing me to work out with her, and she's also been trying to get me into healthier options of food. I also came to find out new things about her in these months, which is surprising considering how we've been together for many years now. These past few months have been really good. I feel like I was brought back to the times when we first met, and I feel like a high schooler with a crush. The thing is, I'm not sure if I can trust my feelings right now. The only person I've had contact with was her, except for my frequent calls with friends and family, and I may be just having an infatuation right now. I also think we're lucky since we're both very free right now, but I keep thinking, what happens after the lockdown ends? Will we go back to being those busy people that have too little time for each other? I also don't know how to approach her with this. She's always been the talker in our relationship, you know? But at the same time, I'm also afraid to talk about it and potentially ruin things for us right now. What if she doesn't feel the same? What if she's just treating me kindly because that's what she is, a genuinely kind person? The only hope I'm holding on to right now is the fact that she hasn't planned on going back to her family yet, despite domestic travels being allowed in our country now. How do I go on about this? Same way she went about bringing up breaking up. You approach the subject in the exact same way, it'll take guts. If it's easier, don't go into it talking about wanting to stay together, but about how you feel. Just talk about how you've felt the last few months, how it's improved since lockdown started. Also, the Sims thing was a massive hint, dude, as well, that she's at least considered the same thoughts as you. When my fiancé and I were in a rough place, I bought Sims. He eventually started playing too, and the first household he made was for the two of us, our 2 cats, a dog, and a toddler. He realized that's how he was feeling subconsciously. He did want to be with me. The outside world will do what it can to make your life harder. There are already challenges and time crunches in relationships, but when you add bad supervisors and studying for school, whew, it's no wonder things got pushed on the back burner. If your problem with the relationship was the spark, and you seemingly have that back, why would you be worried about not trusting yourself? I get quarantine is isolating, but this isn't some random person on the internet or your delivery food driver. You know this person. How about, instead of I don't want to break up anymore, go with can I take you out on a date? Approach it like a new thing. If she says yes, then maybe have her stay in her room for a while for you to prepare the living room for a floor picnic or build a fort, or even take her out for a real picnic, etc. This is a fantastic suggestion. I'd upvote twice if I could. You know, a lot of folks who have been in lockdown together are absolutely sick of each other by now. I read that Wuhan had a huge number of divorces filed as soon as their quarantine was lifted. I think it's special that you two have enjoyed this time together and have been able to reconnect. I think it says something that you have not gotten sick of each other and have actually gotten a lot closer and found new ways to appreciate each other. Maybe you can bring it up by starting with an admission of how vulnerable you are feeling about it. Perhaps, I want to talk to you about something, but given what we've been through the past few months, I'm feeling nervous about this conversation. The truth is that being in lockdown with you has made me appreciate you more than ever, and I'm so grateful that we've had this chance to be with each other in a more intentional way than before. I realize that if we can be in lockdown together for months and only get closer, then there is something special about our relationship. I'm still in love with you, and I don't want to break up anymore. Or, I want to go on a date with you. You should have a plan for what's next if she says no, but given your perspective on this, it seems like it'll be a good conversation no matter what. Update: my fiancé and I decided to break up, but she couldn't move out due to the lockdown. After about 4 months of isolating with her, I've realized I don't want to break up anymore. So, although I didn't get to reply to any of the comments except for one, I made sure to read all of them in my main account, so I would like to thank everyone for their great advice. Here I am now, excited to tell what happened in the course of 5 days. So, the day after posting that, nothing really happened. I spent that day reflecting on what kind of future I see and what I want with her. I also thought a lot about the past, how we messed it up, how we both got too lost in our jobs, etc. In my original post, I asked if what I'm feeling could be just an infatuation that would go as quickly as it came. But I realized that my feelings for her never really disappeared to begin with. It's like my heart just went in a deep sleep and I forgot how much feelings I carry for her. I think some of you may know, and may have pointed out, that I'm not really good at communicating my feelings. I tend to keep things to myself, and my fiancé is one of those few people who can be patient with that. Some suggested to write a letter instead, or a note, or marry her in Sims. I ended up with drafts of sappy letters that I ended up scrapping, and a sad attempt to recreate us in The Sims. But still, I wanted to make an effort to show her what I couldn't say through words. I've heard about her wanting a few DLCs in The Sims in the past, so I had the idea to buy a few for her. Sims DLCs are pretty expensive, especially in our currency. I surprised her by stealing her laptop for a few hours, and once I gave it back to her, she was elated and so happy. It was really nice seeing her get so excited over it. We played together that whole day and tried to solve the mystery in Strangerville, a game pack in The Sims. It was so fun. The next day, I found her in the kitchen trying to bake something. It was a blueberry cheesecake recipe she saw on YouTube. I basically became her cooking assistant that day, helping her as much as I could, and we ended up with a pretty decent outcome that I bet would have tasted better if I hadn't messed up so much. She still said she had so much fun and loved the cheesecake though. The next day, which is just yesterday, something important happened. We were basically just snuggled up on the couch playing when our Sims just autonomously tried for a baby in the bed. It was hilarious, and we initially laughed about it, but then we got pretty silent. She then closed her laptop and hugged me tightly, then without saying anything. I think that was my realization that, oh, she feels the same as I do, so I knew I had to speak up. I'm still impressed at myself for managing to talk yesterday without choking up, basically opening up the conversation like, "So, are you planning to go to your parents soon?" She said no, she doesn't feel like it yet. I asked her why. She told me she wanted to stay. I told her I wanted her to stay too. We went to sleep that night, just huddled together. And even though we didn't really explicitly say it, I think we're now aware of each other's feelings, and it really feels like a huge improvement to me. Earlier, we ate breakfast together. We weren't as chatty as we've been for the last few months, but the silence was comforting. We also watched Knives Out together. We haven't had the conversation yet, but I'm going to bring it up to her tonight. I'm really glad this whole ordeal went much nicer than I expected it would, and I'm relieved I didn't let any of my doubts get the best of me. Though I still have to get better with how I communicate things, I'm going to learn for her. Thank you to everyone who left nice comments in my original post. I apologize again if there are any mistakes in my post. I'm not a native English speaker, nor am I from the USA. And they also say in the comments, "Okay, hi. I posted this thinking the same people who saw my last post would respond, and seeing that a few users wanted an update back then, I thought what the hell, why not give them a little update right now and leave it at that? Now I have 5 times more the audience that I had the last time. Right now, my fiancé is sleeping next to me. Yes, we had the talk. As soon as I posted this, I logged out and gathered myself so I can tell her what's been in my mind for months. It's really not something so exciting. We basically just sat down together and talked about what went wrong before. I told her the things I said in my last post, and she admitted to worrying about what happens after the lockdown gets lifted fully too. We both acknowledged that we worked too hard to become financially stable so that we can get married. Right now though, all we could do is promise and talk about how we're going to manage our time better, since we have no idea if our country is ever going to return to normal. The curve is not getting flattened at all, and the quarantine is about to get extended again. And then we talked about our feelings. I got to tell her I love her again, for the first time in years probably, and she told me the same. After that, it was back to a lighter conversation. We basically just bonded until she fell asleep. I honestly only thought a handful of people would see my post. I made sure to use Reddit because this really isn't a big platform in our country, and I was sure she wouldn't see this post. But now that there's like 20k upvotes as I'm typing this, I think she might stumble upon this post sooner or later. Well then, I know she's going to be whining a lot about this, but she'd be glad to know that a lot more people found our relationship wholesome. Thank you all for the kind comments. I know some people are thinking, why haven't you just talked to her in the first place? But getting some perspective from other people really did help give me a push. I think if I left myself alone with the thoughts I was having, things would have gone a lot worse, so I'm really grateful. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the awards I received since this is just a throwaway account though, but it's still cool. I'll try to answer as many questions as I can and then log out. Thank you again. Someone said that their husband rarely showed affection with words, while she often did. Then the wife told her husband that her parents had this thing where they would lightly squeeze her hand 3 times as a sort of "I love you." After that, her husband was constantly telling her he loved her in this silent fashion, way more often than she ever said it out loud. If you have difficulty expressing yourself with words, maybe you just need a little different approach to sweet nothings like that. That's really cool, but I also want to become more direct with her. I made a promise, and it's also actually really nice saying I love you to her directly. Old me would have loved that idea though. Alright, and I think that's where we're going to leave today's episode, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed the content today. If you guys loved watching it as much as I loved making it, I would love for you to subscribe to the channel already if you haven't. Tell me what you thought of it down in the comments below, maybe like the video, who knows. I'd also like to take this time to thank my awesome Patreon and channel members. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably be homeless on the streets of Ireland, crying Irish dancing all over town. It would just be a mess. But no, for real, you guys are up on the screen now. Thank each and every one of you guys. And if you personally want to join the club yourself, there are links down in the description below. There's also the join button next to the subscribe button. Small monthly fee, but hey, it goes a long way to help me create more awesome content. Well, with that said, guys, I hope you do have a lovely day, night, sleep, evening, day at work, day at school, whatever you're up to. I hope you keep awesome today. You're looking amazing, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.